Hello, everybody. This is Sparkle On, except this is our Sparkle Sundays spinoff with my boyfriend, Thomas Paolini. And, you know, some of you asked to get a little bit more controversial. And I felt like partly because of my obsession with The Summer I Turned Pretty, but then kind of just thinking about the divorce rate in the world and just random things. Tom and I were kind of like, what happens and what do you do if you're in a relationship with the one or someone that you think is the one and you think you might still have feelings from a person of your past and nobody talks about this? And my thing was that I believe that there's always feelings with people of your past, whether that's feelings of hatred, feelings of lack of closure, which I feel like is always a thing no matter what, because how can you really, find that closure? Two people can't really agree on the same thing because people have different feelings. That's not the point. The point is you can experience a multitude of emotion towards people or someone of your past. And you hear sometimes stories of, some people will end a relationship and go back to their ex. That completely happens. But then I think we were kind of talking more of I don't know if everyone has the awareness to recognize I have feelings about this person, not feelings of being in love. And then they start to feel guilt and shame of the person that they're betraying the person they're with. And we come across it. I mean, I don't feel guilt and shame the way that I do with Tom because I'm just open about my feelings about other people. But we were kind of called to this action item list of how to determine what your feelings are for someone from the past.
You definitely didn't start there either. So I think that's important. We've arrived to the point where you don't feel guilt and shame, but definitely.
Oh yeah, we did not start there.
No.
Yeah. But as a woman, I think it's definitely hard not to feel that guilt and shame in many areas of a relationship, but specifically around that.
Yes. So this boils down to, for me, the difference between being able to distinguish between not just your life independent of a partner, but your life independent of the world that's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
So the experiences that you have with other people from your past, whatever, those are your experiences. And it's really difficult to conceptualize how that morphs you into the person that you are, especially when you find yourself in a relationship with someone and you're trying to express to them that I love you, you're my person. I wouldn't be the person that I am without you. The decisions in my life sort of led me here, whatever. And any one of those things you want to look at. And that's how you conceptualize how you find yourself to be at the point you are in your life with your partner. The issue is, depending upon how you still think or the terms to which past relationships ended, or if something was traumatic, or if it ended abruptly for some other reason, or if it was because of moving or family or whatever it might be, whatever the situation that ended a past relationship or situation that led to where you are at now, those things inform how you want to, converse with the person you're currently with. And for me, it's really easy to be able to separate anything that you have in your past with what we have now, not because I think I'm like some great person at rationalizing like, oh yeah, like you have a past, whatever. I just think it's really useful to say, oh, you have an independent, like there's things that you did in your life, things that happened to you from the time you were a kid, a young teenager up to the point we met, and then even now, even experiences that you've had while we've been together that I'm not a part of. And acknowledging the independent person, not necessarily that it's a part of their independence, but they are an independent person that you can't understand the complexities of, just like they can't understand the complexities of you. So like, I know there's things about me and experiences that I've had that you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I hold those things as a part of me, not like I keep them from you or that I can't have you engage with them, but that those worlds just don't necessarily need to interact with one another on anybody's terms but mine.
I mean, I do it all the time. I do it with, we were talking about this earlier. Like, I do it with the music that I listen to. Like, I've been a Jimmy Eat World fan since I've been in the 5th grade. And it always carried weight and meaning for me, like all the songs that I love by them. But then it's like, there's a very specific song that I put on while I was experiencing my first breakup that like, I don't want you part of, because that was, to me, even in the pain, it's sacred. Counting Crows, I'm notorious for this. It's like, I have this whole experience with a fling in Paris, and it's tied to the Counting Crows. And yes, Tom took me to the Counting Crows for my birthday, but it's even at those concerts, it's very uncomfortable for me, not because I don't want to share these amazing experiences and watching live music with my best friend. It's just that that was like a version of me, single Devi, whatever you want to call her, that like, it's not that I even like her. Of course I like her. I love her. She's fucking rock. She was a badass that used to fly to Paris when she had boy problems. But it's holding space for what those memories, whether they were with specific men or not, at the time, love as I knew it at the time. But that doesn't mean, like, I think sometimes there's a romanticizing of the past, or like it's easy to fall into that as a person. And the guilt and shame that comes from it is like, especially when you're with someone new or you try to suppress it, it's kind of detrimental. And there is a crisis that I think that a lot of people don't talk about that can happen, of like when trauma compounds. And I'm not saying trauma like you had to go through a bad relationship to have a breakdown. Like, I guess I would just say memories compounding is probably a better way of putting it, where something might trigger something where you're like, oh my God, do I still, like, I can't see a picture of this person from my past because like people are notorious for like, I got to go unfollow everyone I've ever been with when I'm in a new relationship. I never honestly quite understood that. Do what you have to do for your health. But I think what I think more people have feelings of regret. And as humans, we have this innate desire to want to fix things. And maybe that's just me. But when there's regret and there's possibly something that might feel like something to fix, someone might conflate that for still having and still being in love with someone else. And I don't think that's true. I think it's very normal and natural to have regret and carry love for someone, but that doesn't mean you're in love with them and should break up with someone that is possibly the one to be with them.
So I think you went a little haywire there, and not that anything you said was necessarily wrong. I think you were switching back and forth between the navigation of it from your personal point of view, and then how to navigate it in a relationship with a partner.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a really fair way to visualize it. Is I don't necessarily have this experience, but I thought of it earlier. Say you have a relationship with somebody and your thing is like going to get ice cream at this one place. Mm-hmm. And whatever, you live in a city and something like that. And there's like a couple locations for that ice cream place. There's like 2 or 3 across the city. But each, like, that's where you would go get ice cream. That relationship ends. The terms of the ending of the relationship are one thing, but one thing, or not one thing, or whatever, the terms of the relationship ending or whatever. But the one thing that was always a good memory was, or just a memory that you could rely on, was the ice cream, like getting ice cream at that place. And moving forward is almost like keeping like, oh, I can't go back there. Especially not with my partner, because then it's like, well, why, like, is this place, it holds too much like independent of them memory and weight. And you're like, it's not that you don't necessarily think that they could be a part of a new memory with it, but all of the collective memories that you have of it already don't include them. And that's difficult to contend with. And I think this is the personal part of it. You're worried about managing a partner's expectations, but also your own, in the sense of, damn, I feel like I can't take my new partner there. Does that mean that I still have feelings for them? Or it's like the same thing with the music stuff. It's like, oh, I don't want to go to a concert with Tom to see the Counting Crows because like I have this independent relationship with them and somebody else, and also just like other people. And you're managing how you navigate, oh, this is like my thing and it's for me, but also it's tied to somebody else. And I don't want to feel bad or feel guilty.
I don't feel guilty.
Or shame that I have these emotions for somebody else or for a different point in time.
As it relates to the Counting Crows, I do not feel guilty.
Derailed. The point that I was rambling there a little too much. The point that I'm trying to make is you're allowed to have feelings about things and for other people, and those things aren't necessarily, that doesn't mean like, oh, you're still in love. Or it doesn't even necessarily, maybe you are still in love to some, or like you still have a love for that person. But that doesn't mean that you can't love somebody else, or that the love that you have for somebody else isn't stronger or better or anything like that. And I think this is what this is now the third time you've done this. You're like, I'm not guilty. I don't feel shame. I think that, I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying I think that at a point in time you did, and you navigated out of it.
As it relates to the Counting Crows? And
as it relates to anything that between us. Or at any point in our lives.
My entire MO when I met you was guilt and shame about my entire existence.
But that's my point is, so if you already feel guilt and shame for being judged by a partner, and then you're worried about like navigating emotions that you still have for somebody else, or not necessarily emotions, you just think about them in some context, especially like you, creative and writing stuff. You're like, I have to think about these people and write about them, or they're a part of my like creative process.
Well, I think also to the point of guilt and shame, especially if you are a creative person or if you are working through feelings of the past, which is inevitable when you're in a relationship that helps you evolve. If your partner, or you, just from a baseline, even if your partner is not doing this to you, but you feel guilt and shame, that is an indicator that something's off. by the way. I think actually the Counting Crows are a good example from a narrative perspective of the way that they produce their art, specifically Adam Duritz, of he tells either the same narrative or very similar narratives, and uses a lot of the same symbols throughout every single album, or it comes up like a heartbreak over and over again. And someone's like might say, well, you should just move on, or you should just get over it. I do not believe you get over your first love. I do not believe that you get over X, Y, and Z trauma. I believe that you live in it differently. I believe that you express it differently, whether it be some creative outlet. And example A, Adam Duritz and the Counting Crows, weaving it into different songs over various albums over decades of time, because that is how expressing your feelings work. And if you can't do that in your art and you can't do it in your relationship, one of them is not working. And I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this so much, because it's like, I don't think it's always like this grand romantic crisis of I'm in love with someone else. I think it's either a crisis of you internally or a crisis in your relationship. And a lot of people fail to realize that.
I think, not that we're off track, I think I just want to reiterate the point of this conversation is to say the confusion that people feel. I think that's where this all stemmed from. I think this might have got lost here. The confusion that almost anybody might feel while they are in a relationship about emotions or attachments they have to somebody that isn't their partner. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm still in love?
Yeah.
I'm confused. Like, I thought getting over this would mean that I no longer have these things. And I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's a lie. I think that's misinformed and a misinformed point of view, a misinformed opinion that people hold, that you just get over your past. Because that doesn't make sense. Like, you have memories of when you're a child. Like, you have memories of, the first time you did anything. And we had talked about this in previous episodes, like how important your first love is. Like, you'll always have memories of like the first time you did something. Unless you lose your memories, but generally speaking, those things are a part of you, and they can exist independently as a part of you, and still have a full person or it doesn't encompass the full person that you are, which is now in a relationship with somebody else. And we talked about this too before coming on, the black and white thinking. Like, love, the experience of love is not black and white. It's not you either love me or you love somebody else. That's not how love works in relationships or really anything at all when it comes to the emotional spectrum. So
love is a rainbow with sparkles.
You asked me not to get derailed. And then you did that. Anyway, the love being black and white isn't like, that's not how love works. And the gray area that is these things and how to navigate them when you're dealing with emotions you have about other people from your past and stuff like that. And I know you had talked about it with The Summer I Turned Pretty, because that's a recurring theme. And when we talk about, it's like how like Belly has feelings for Conrad, and she'll like, I'll always have feelings for these different people and I don't know how to do with it. Does that mean I'm in love with them? Does that mean I'm making a mistake choosing one over the other if I still feel a certain way? And I think the guilt and the shame or the whatever, the regret that you might feel when you're in a relationship with somebody and you have a partner that is great and has all these things, or even is just like, I don't want to say they're a bad partner, but like you're not necessarily sure if they're the one, but you want to pursue it and you're confused by these other feelings that you have for other people. Well, that's just being human. Like you're going to have those feelings.
Yeah.
And to tie this back into so many other things.
Wait, do you remember when we were like kind of like early dating and I was like had a mental breakdown because I had a crush and you were like, "Oh, imagine that. You went to a bar and you thought someone else was hot. What a shame it is to be human." I'll never forget that. You don't remember, do you?
I feel like it happened a lot.
Yeah, it does.
But, well, that, I don't want to go too far down. I think that's sort of a different thing, but it's also like a part of...
It's the same realm.
It's a part of being human. I think it's a different thing. Like,
yeah,
if you're out with somebody... If you're not attracted to the person that you're with and all you do is look for other people that are better...
that's a problem.
And that's not even like...
I think you're the hottest man that's ever lived, Tom. Are you uncomfortable now?
No, I just think that's a wild thing to say.
Okay. You're blushing.
I was trying to make a point.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm getting hungry.
I can tell. You got that look in your eye like you're hungry. But like not like the I'm hungry, but the like, no, I actually like I need food. Like I'm survival eyes. Like there's, what are the eyes? What kind of eyes?
They're not fuck me eyes.
No, these are like, you know that video? It's that famous video of a guy eating spaghetti out with like the big thing out of a pot.
No.
And he's just hammered drunk.
Wait, yeah, I do.
And so it's like two dudes eating spaghetti in the kitchen, and then it zooms past them to this guy in the pot, and it like the caption is like eating because you're hungry versus eating for survival, and it's like, yeah, that guy needed that to survive. That's you. That's the look you're giving.
Tell me how you really feel.
I'm saying I know the difference between those two looks. That's I'm hungry in a survival sense, and
Can you get to your point?
The point has passed. Because, well, I already made the point. The point was that these things and how we reflect on them are a part of how, are part of what is encompassed in the human experience. You're gonna remember things from your past. You're gonna feel these things. It's important to communicate. This was the grand tie back into communicating with your partner about these things is what's important, because there isn't you either love me or you can't love anybody else, or like you're not allowed to have feelings for anybody else. That's where the communication comes in. Like, what is the line in the sand that's like, oh, this is a healthy way. Be like, oh yeah, like, haha, like we can talk and joke about how I had this thing with my ex, or like this one time when I was younger, blah, blah, blah. Versus like it's encroaching on or it's impacting like the relationship that you have with your partner.
Yeah.
And that's where the communication is the most important, because it's going to be there. The confusion's going to be there. Who can you talk about it with? And I think that's sort of like what you're talking about is whoever had posed the question to you, or however they had posed it, was like, how do you know, or like, how do I manage these feelings of, am I in love with somebody else? Well, who is the best person to talk to that about?
Yeah, like
your partner.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you can't talk to them about it, maybe you are in love with somebody else. But that's kind of the point, is you're gonna have these feelings, and it's just another one of those things. Unfortunately,
there's just like a lot of people that are like,
people don't want to talk. The people are afraid to order pizza on the phone. I mean, convenience sake, I don't want to call somebody on the phone. But if I was like, you either get no pizza or you have to call and order on the phone, you gotta call and order on the phone. Now, some people will be like, I'd rather starve. We know those people.
Yeah. But there are people that are like, no, if my man or woman has feelings for another person, like that's it. And it's never a conversation. And it's like,
it's not feelings.
Maybe
like that.
I know.
Have feelings. It's like
I know.
I experience.
I
feelings.
experience emotion. I experience energy towards another person. Like, help me figure out what this is. Like,
I think we should talk about our more specific iterations with the music for you. And
okay.
Well, no.
Let's talk about the Counting Crows. I have no problem with that.
It's more just I think it's good for you to preface like how you think about it, and then how I have my whole own independent thing. But like for you, it's almost like this was the regret, the shame, the whatever, the confusion, and this is why we've had to talk about it, because you're like you took it as when my interest in those things.
What, like the Counting Crows?
And other music things. Was like my interest in those things, you felt like, no, like you can't be a part of this because like this involves other people and other things. And that was a part of you being like, well, not just protecting that independent part of yourself, but also trying to protect me. Like, no, you can't be a part of this because you represent something else for me. And it's for me, it was like, I understand that. I can validate you. I don't want to be a part of those things. I have my own personal experience with them. And that's where we like can communicate, okay, you have this deep tie to this thing and it's connected to other people, and that's fine. And we can enjoy the music and the artistry in our own ways. But we don't need to pretend like there's something that we can't communicate about. Like, oh, I can't talk to you about this because it doesn't involve you.
Something like that's the Counting Crows represents like similar to taking a picture. It's a very specific snapshot of time of a world that... Stop. What are you doing with your hands? A camera? Okay. Can you let me speak? Thanks. It represents a transition period of one of the most painful times of my life in a place that represented perfection for me. And Paris as a place has always been that, like an escape, a falsified story of perfection. And Counting Crows just happened to be a band that I listened to with a man after sleeping with him that night. But the lyrics of a very specific performance of Round Here spoke to me greatly. And this is not the only band that I have this experience with, but what I'm trying to say is when you have these there's moments of your life and in my life where change is about to happen, whether that's good or bad. Good or bad change, you don't know. It's just an intuitive feeling. And there is a romance in it that I don't think it's bad to want to keep it for yourself. It's not even about the men I slept with. Okay, like or whatever. If I tie a song or a band to a man, it's not about them. It's about whether a moment that I was left alone or that it was my independence or an attempt to try to reclaim myself. That I think a lot of times it's so easy to revert to a narrative of, oh my God, Tom saved me. I don't think you subscribe to that narrative of our love story, but it sure as hell is a narrative that I won't, because there was a lot that I did on my own. And it's moments like that. It's moments like that where art, like the Counting Crows, saves your life. And I don't want you a part of it. And I don't think that's bad.
Well, I think you said it for a second there. I was going to interject, but I just let you go. If it was just about the sleeping with the dudes, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
Now, is that something you can overcome? Obviously, you'd have to talk about it. But I think that's sort of like that line you can draw. The idea of like having memories with somebody where it's like, oh, well, this was a great, like individual moments and experiences. Those are things that you can't hope to take away from someone.
Yeah.
Those are, because you wouldn't want that to happen to you. You have things that are a part of you that you can't otherwise, communicate to the degree to which they are impactful to you, other than to say, this is something that's deep and meaningful to me, and it has nothing to do with you, but it's also, it's not about you.
Yeah, and I think there's like when you find the person that you want to be with, I think there's this urgency or rush to share every part of yourself with them, and it is important to share all those dark, light, vulnerable things with that person. We do that. You feel it tenfold when I'm sitting there playing, their albums for hours on end. Like, it's not that we haven't created our own love for this, but I also think it's very important to stand in the art that makes you feel independent and empowered outside of a relationship.
Yeah. I think what you were just speaking on could go in a totally different direction. But just to reiterate, the real essence of this conversation, which is, and I'll tie it back in from my point of view. And I know I'd said you were defensive about the feeling of shame and the guilt or whatever. And it wasn't that those things encompassed all of the feeling or like why you didn't want me to be a part of it, but it was more, you felt there was a part of you that did feel the guilt or the shame or the regret from the standpoint of, I'm confused about, well, I love these memories. And if I love these memories, does that mean I can't also love me?
Yeah.
Or you were worried that maybe I couldn't love you.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about.
Like,
now.
girl, you are not that complicated.
No, from my point of view, and this was why it's important, and this is the whole thing, the communication, that confusion that you might have, the person you need to talk about that with is your partner.
Yeah.
But for me, I wasn't trying to come in on your
I know.
It was, you could call it gatekeeping, whatever, but I wasn't trying to come in on your counting crows thing. For me, it was driving to the beach with my family. I don't even have like specific memories. I just know that's where I was going when I was listening to like the tape in the car, the Counting Crows. And then like my mom playing it while she was at home. It was like early 2000s, like the CD, like listening to the Counting Crows and her like on repeat, listening to those songs, loving that band. And then like hearing it on the radio occasionally. And they didn't fall out of like, I mean, they were still, people knew who they were, but like they didn't release a whole lot of like hit music post 2005, 2006, up until, I mean, I don't even know if they've been touring that much.
They tour like every year.
Well, besides the point, like touring with like new music and stuff like that.
The new album just came out. We just listened to it.
Yeah, I know. How many albums have they released since August and everything after?
That's not the point, Tom.
I know that's my point, is it's not the point. That's not the point. See, this is you still have like the reaction to it this way. And that's my whole point of saying like, those are my, like, I have this whole independent relationship with the Counting Crows that has nothing to do with you. And I would like them regardless of you. And I would still have all of these memories from when I was a kid. And it has nothing to do with your formative memories of them because of that one performance. And that one time you got to see it. And that's why for me, it's...
No. The one that changed my life was one I never got to see. I was probably a child on YouTube. And then, yes, when they came to LA, 2 years ago?
I'm saying, yeah,
and my camera broke. Like, it captured literally every other song in the set list, But during round here, it was like the most extraordinary thing I've ever witnessed in my life. The entire YouTube theater got so silent because Adam just left a moment of silence that created so much resonance that you could hear a fucking pin drop. And my camera, to that point, like it got some of it, and to that point, the camera just went black. Like it was like a spirit was in the theater and shut off my phone for me to experience this. And it was insane. I've never experienced euphoria like that in my life, other than that moment. And when I watched it on YouTube on Paris in a man's bed. It was a futon, actually.
I think you said it best. 2 minutes ago. Girl, it's not that deep.
It is so deep. Leave me alone.
No. You just completely derailed all of this for that. And that's fine, because I don't care that you have that relationship with it and it's a different thing, because I have my own. And we have an agreement that we've had communication on this, and we can agree to disagree, basically, that you like them more than anyone can comprehend and understand. And there's nothing I can do about it. But I don't care, because I liked them before I liked you.
That was unhinged.
So it's all good.
Well, anyways.
Is there anything else we need to get into?
I think it's one of those things, like, fuck it. Don't feel guilt and shame. If you love someone else, maybe do the breaking up in a nice way.
Communicate.
But like, you probably don't love someone else.
Well,
and you should
the
just
likelihood that you like or you're still in love with somebody else isn't necessarily great, unless it's like, again, like I miss them in bed, or I miss them looking at me and like waking up in the morning next to them. Those probably aren't things that you should be missing or thinking about if you're in a relationship with somebody else.
Right.
Now, and this is not to be grim or anything, but imagine if you've lost a partner,
well, yeah, that's
passed on.
That is maybe a different topic for a different day.
Yeah, but like the confusion on that, or maybe like they had to move to a different, like it was a thing, like they literally had to leave the country or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Like you couldn't be together, not because you didn't want to be, but because external circumstances kept you from being together, and you have longing feelings like that. Well, that's really sad and unfortunate. But again, it's the same prescription of you need to communicate that with your partner. You need to understand those feelings. You need to let them know that you're feeling these things. And if they're not going to give you space to feel or to even have a conversation about it, well, that's probably telling that maybe that you don't love somebody else, but you're not in a relationship that's going to serve you. Yeah. And that's loving. So.
All right, everyone. Well, let us know which controversial topic you want next. This one was fun.
Yeah, I think we would keep going, but you're hungry.
Yeah, sparkle on.
Sparkle on.